Hello, this is my loops video for both the for and while loops. This is a little sample code I wrote that just calculates how many years you've been alive based on the year you were born and this year. So we start off by defining all the variables, like this year being 2018. The born year, we'll ask for the user to input that in a minute. I is going to be used in the for loop, and we'll get to that. And then I have two of these similar variables called year count. One is for year count and one is while year count. And that's essentially because we're going to be doing this two different loops in the same line of code and comparing the answers. So one will be the for and one will be the while. So the first thing we do is we just ask the user for their born year, and we're going to keep it really simple as an integer. My example is 1995. But we have two different types of loops. We have the while loop and the for loop. So starting off with the while loop, it's also called the sentinel method, and that's essentially it's going to keep running as long as this part of the statement is satisfied. It will continue looping through and running what's within the while statement, and then as soon as this is no longer satisfied, it will hop out and continue doing the rest of the code. So here in my example, it is born year plus the years counted, while year counted, but years counted. As long as it's less than this current year, we're going to keep adding to that year count. So for example, I'd put in 1995 for my birthday. This while year count starts at 0, so it's 1995 is less than 2018. That's true. So it will add 1 to year count. So now it is 1996 is less than 2018. And that still remains true. This will in fact keep looping through it until this becomes 2018 is less than 2018, which we know is not true. At that time, this while year count will have filled up with the proper amount of years counted. So it's like the number of years counted between 1995 and 2018, which is the amount of years somebody from born that year has been alive. So the sentinel method is really good for when we know we're looking for we want to maintain the loop until a specific condition is reached, and then we want to hop out. The for loop works a little different than the while loop, although they're pretty similar. The for loop starts out with this statement that really has a lot more definition than the while loop. It's often uses I, although you can use different variables, and it's a counting system. It knows the lower and the upper limits. It's defined already, and so it's just going to count in between essentially, and that's what this I plus plus does. That's our counter system essentially. So we defined I as the year born, 1995, and as long as 1995 is less than 2018, we're going to keep increasing the year. So it's really similar to the while loop, and for most uses, you could potentially use the other style of loop. However, this one does have some benefits in other areas. So in this example, where I is starting out in 1995, and that is less than 2018. So we will continue with this. We will keep going within this loop, and this years count will increase until I is no longer less than this year. And when we're talking about integers, that means that they're going to be equal the same. So 2018 is not less than 2018. They're equal. And that will force it to jump out of the loop and display the amount of years we have counted. So both the for and the while loop go about it a little differently, but are essentially doing the same thing. And let's run the program and see what the outcomes are. So I've talked about 1995 in this example, so we'll switch it up now. And let's say we were born in 1901. That means that we've been alive for 117 years. Glad I calculated that correctly. But as we can see, the while and the for loop have returned the same values. So that's proving that they can be used somewhat interchangeably depending on the situation.